With Clone Wars Season 7 Episode 12 releasing as the final ever episode of the Clone Wars, many of us were disappointed that the ending of Asajj Ventress' intriguing story was not told. So what exactly happened to Asajj Ventress after the events of Clone Wars Season 7 and the last time that we saw her? I'm going to break down the full story of the Dark Disciple novel, which illustrates Ventress' complete journey after her last appearance in the show. So before we dive into it, remember to subscribe to the channel to be notified as soon as I release more incredible Star Wars content. Leave a like and comment down below if you want to see a video about the dark side version of Obi-Wan Kenobi and the suit that he would have worn. Following Asajj Ventress' assistance to Ahsoka Tano and Anakin Skywalker in helping to clear her name after her exile from the Jedi Order, Ventress left the core worlds of the galaxy and came into the possession of a gunship that she called the Banshee. How cool is that name for a ship? She continued her bounty hunting ways, running most of her business operations out of the Banshee. Shortly after acquiring her new ship, Ventress also acquired a new yellow-bladed lightsaber on the black markets to replace her old red lightsabers that were stolen by Barriss Offee. After re-equipping herself with the yellow lightsaber and running her bounty hunting operation out of the Banshee for a few months, she gained a strong reputation within the bounty hunting community and was even given the nickname the Bold Banshee. Because of her newfound fame among the bounty hunters of the galaxy, she quickly gained the attention of notorious young bounty hunter Boba Fett, who I definitely don't need to explain the backstory of. She also became familiar with the well-known criminal syndicate the Pikes and became an associate of Fife, who we've seen in both Clone Wars Season 7 and the Son of Dathomir comic series. Following this, she took various missions, including encounters with antiques dealers, smugglers and pirates, including the infamous Hondo Ohnaka. On a cargo escort mission carrying antiques for the dealer Sheb Valard, the Banshee was attacked by Hondo and his Ohnaka gang. The Banshee was left in a completely crippled state when a second group of pirates known as the Bloodbone Order arrived on the scene to investigate. The Bloodbone Order was led by Pantoran pirate Lassa Raim, who decided it was necessary to tow the Banshee in for repairs and take Ventress into her infirmary to recover after the incident. The two eventually decided to team up, with Raim taking the cargo for herself and allowing Ventress to deliver on her original mission. After a fierce fight with Ohnaka's crew over the cargo, Ventress and Raim eventually came out on top, humiliating Hondo. Raim eventually offered Ventress a spot on her crew because of her incredible fighting ability and quick wits, but she declined the offer because she wanted to choose her own path alone. Now that the connective tissue between the Clone Wars series and Dark Disciple is covered, let's get deep into the events of Dark Disciple. The story begins on the planet Marani, where Count Dooku is laying a brutal siege to the planet. Jedi General Chubor was ordered to contact Dooku by hologram to plead with him to stop the attacks on Marani. Dooku, however, knew that this conversation was being broadcast to the entire Jedi Council and used the opportunity to kill a huge amount of lives on the planet as the Jedi Council watched on, blaming them for the countless lives lost. This pushed the Council to make a very morally questionable decision to send an assassin after Count Dooku and end the war right then and there. Master Mace Windu, who of course is the architect of the plan, agrees with Obi-Wan Kenobi that Quinlan Vos should be sent to kill Dooku. Quinlan Vos then disguises himself as a man simply named Tal, along with a fellow Jedi Knight, Akar Deshu. He is briefed on the mission and agrees on the condition that he is accompanied by someone not involved with the Jedi Order. Master Yoda recommends that Vos is joined by the Night Sister Asajj Ventress because of her detailed knowledge of Count Dooku as his former apprentice. Vos then travels to Coruscant's level 1313, where he meets with bounty hunters Bossk and Boba Fett. Boba tells Vos that Ventress took a job on the planet Pantora, chasing down a well-known fugitive. This allows Vos to travel to Pantora, where he accidentally allows Ventress's target to escape, but they do eventually join forces. Following this, Vos meets up with Ventress in the Banshee, where he continues to keep up his false identity as a bounty hunter. Ventress reluctantly agrees to accept Vos as a partner, spending the next 2 weeks together training and conducting several hunts, usually involving underworld contracts and outlaw hits. One time, Vos even saved Ventress's life by using the Force to knock a blaster off an enemy's hand, allowing Ventress to blast him. Throughout the various missions and time spent together, Vos continues to try to get information about her training with Count Dooku out of her, but she remains tight-lipped. It was at this point that Quinlan Vos and Asajj Ventress began to develop feelings for each other. Anytime that Ventress would leave Vos alone to conduct repairs on the Banshee, he would sneak away to discreetly contact Obi-Wan Kenobi and give him progress reports doubts about the mission. Kenobi continued to urge him to find a way to make the plot to kill Dooku work. After this, Ventress accepted a job from the Pike Syndicate, who you would know if you watched the Martez Sisters arc of the Clone Wars, but I don't blame you if you skipped that one. They were a powerful spice cartel that was based on Obadiah and led by Marg Krim. Krim tasked Voss and Ventress with rescuing his wife and children who had been brutally kidnapped by the Black Sun Syndicate. The two hunters travelled to the Black Sun homeworld of Mustafar, where they were able to infiltrate the Black Sun fortress. They managed to rescue Krim's two children, but were unable to find their mother. As they were fleeing the fortress with the children, Voss was hit in the back with a blaster bolt, causing him to drop the Pike child over the lava flow below. Fortunately, he was able to levitate the boy using the Force, saving his life. After saving the life of the child, Voss was able to use his psychometry force power to touch the child's locket, revealing the true location of his mother. Using this information, they were able to rescue Krim's wife, to which he was extremely grateful, and offered Ventress double pay for her work. As the two were leaving Obadiah after receiving their reward, Black Sun Syndicate ships exited hyperspace immediately and were preparing to settle scores with the Pikes. Being burdened with the guilt of being unable to protect Krim's family, Voss revealed that he was in fact a Jedi to Ventress, but she had already put the fact together based on his previous usage of the Force. Voss revealed his true intentions about killing Dooku to Ventress, but she was not angry whatsoever, even seeing the mission as an opportunity to get back at her master who once betrayed her. Ventress warned Voss that this task would not be possible without tapping into the evil dark side of the Force, but Voss was willing to accept the risk. Kenobi cautioned Voss about the dark path that he was following, but Voss ignored it and began his training in the dark side. To begin their training, Ventress took Voss to Dathomir, which was extremely strong in the dark side. Voss learned about her entire history, including her enslavement, apprenticeship under the Jedi Order, and her apprenticeship to Count Dooku. Quinlan Voss became Asajj Ventress's Dark Disciple, which again is the title of the book. As his training in the dark continued, his love for Ventress continued to grow, but he was pushed further and further into the dark by her. She even told him that his former master, Thulm, was killed by Dooku, when in reality, it was Ventress who committed the action. Voss continued his rigorous training, exposing him to the culture of the Night Sisters while simultaneously boosting his strength, endurance, and force powers. I really wish this arc did get animated because this scene is absolutely incredible to think about. As the final part in his training, Voss was ordered to kill a near extinct crustacean creature that inhabited a series of pools near the former Night Sisters village. He was successful in this trial, completing his dark side training. The two then travel to the planet Raxus, where they believe Dooku will be making an appearance. Ventress brutally kills the informant that gave her the information about Dooku's location when they arrive on the planet, very similarly to what Cassian Andor did in Rogue One. Dooku arrives on Raxus but is accompanied by General Grievous. Once there, Ventress confronts her former master and challenges him to give her a fair fight later in the night, to which Dooku agrees. Of course, Dooku does not honor the agreement, quickly contacting General Grievous to be ready with reinforcements at their meeting location. Before he can arrive at the location, however, Dooku is ambushed by Voss, who engages in a fierce lightsaber battle with him. Dooku taunts Voss about his sudden dealings in the dark side of the Force, and he quickly defeats him with Force lightning. Voss is taken prisoner by Dooku while Ventress escapes. Following this, Voss is transported to Sereno, homeworld of Dooku, where he is locked in a cell and tortured repeatedly by Dooku. Because of his long absence from communication with the Jedi Council, they become extremely worried that he has either died or fallen completely to the dark side. Meanwhile, Asajj Ventress travels to Chal Moon's cantina on Tatooine, where she hires Boba Fett, Bosk, Latsratsi, Highsinger, and Embo for a rescue mission of her captured lover. Back on Sereno, Dooku is able to turn Voss against Ventress after he shows him a hologram of his master's death, confirming that he was not the one to commit the killing, but instead was Ventress. The bounty hunters arrive shortly on Sereno to rescue Voss, but are unsuccessful as his rage for Ventress's betrayal overcomes him and causes him to attack them. Shockingly, Ventress witnesses Voss join Count Dooku as his newest Sith apprentice. This right here is another thing I would have absolutely loved to see on screen. After this, Ventress is left absolutely distraught and travels back to Coruscant, where she informs Kenobi about Voss's fall to the dark side. During Ventress's time back in the Coruscant underworld, Voss became Dooku's right-hand man in the Separatist hierarchy and gained the nickname Admiral Enigma. Desperate to bring Voss back to the Jedi Order, they offered to pardon all of Ventress's crimes against them and the Republic in exchange for his return. She accepted the offer and joined the Jedi rescue team alongside Kenobi to find him. Following a massive battle with Dooku and his droids, Ventress and the Jedi rescue team managed to find Voss and free him from his cell aboard a dreadnought. After discovering him, Ventress lashes out at Voss but is held back by Kenobi. The Jedi then rescue Voss and transport him back to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant aboard the Banshee. Upon arrival at the temple, Master Yoda pardons Ventress for her crimes against the Republic. At this point, none of the Jedi really believed that Voss had switched sides to join the Separatists. Following that, Voss takes part in a mission to steal supplies from a Separatist asteroid base alongside Kenobi, Akar Deshu, Skywalker and Commander Cody. The mission is ultimately unsuccessful with all of the supplies being destroyed. After that, Voss again takes part in a mission with the same Jedi, this time at a Separatist listening post. They discover that the post was abandoned before they even arrived, throwing deep suspicion onto Voss. The Jedi realize that he is the reason for the past 2 failed missions and seek to test his loyalty by again asking him to kill his now master, Count Dooku. The Council even instructs Kenobi to execute Voss on any sign that he is still loyal to Dooku. Voss and Ventress then travel to Christophsis aboard the Banshee where they board Dooku's dreadnought. Voss engages Dooku in a lightsaber duel but fails to kill him and instead forces Dooku to lead him to his master, Darth Sidious. Skywalker and Kenobi realize that Voss has truly turned to the dark side and are forced to arrest him. The two are no match for Cody, however, as they quickly escape their imprisonment with Ventress onto the Banshee. In the escape, Voss also kills his former friend, Jedi Master Desh. Following that, they continue their escape aboard the Banshee, but it is damaged and forced to crash land on Christophsis. As the Jedi search for the fugitives, Kenobi tells Ventress about Voss's turn to the dark once again, and encourages her to turn him over. Meanwhile, Mace Windu then orders Kenobi and Skywalker to execute them on sight. The 3 Darksiders escape to a Separatist outpost where they are bombarded by Republic forces. As Voss admits his full turn to the dark side, Dooku attacks Voss with Force Lightning, but in a selfless act of sacrifice, Ventress shoves Voss away and takes the full force of Dooku's attack. This kills Ventress, leaving Voss to reconcile his relationship with her, while Dooku is able to make a swift escape. Wow, honestly, what a story. That's just so good. I really love that story. Following these events, the Jedi Council pardoned Voss for his turn to the dark side and the killing of his fellow Jedi, because their initial plan for Dooku was not the Jedi way. Kenobi then accompanied Quinlan Voss to Dathomir, where they buried Ventress on her home planet. They laid Ventress to rest in a dark pool near the abandoned Night Sisters village, where her body turned green as a symbol of the Force mystics of Dathomir. And that was the full story of Asajj Ventress in Dark Disciple. I know I had to cut a lot of details to fit the story within a suitable time frame, but all of the key details are included. So let me know down below if you would like to see the full events of Dark Disciple animated into a Clone Wars arc in the future. So be sure to subscribe to the channel to be notified as soon as I release more awesome Star Wars content. Thanks again so much for watching. Cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one.